What's going on, everybody? Lil Chris here, and in today's video I bring you my second APA match from my last live stream, and this one is going to be 8-ball. My opponent in this match is a skill level 6, so this is going to be a race to 5-4. My 5 to their 4. Now, during the live stream, I tried to use the cue ball diagram in real time. So you're already going to see it right up over here, and you're going to see me try to move the red dot around while I'm commentating to indicate where I'm hitting at on the cue ball. And then you're still also going to see the live chat right over here, so that way you have some context anytime I try to answer a question from the viewers. So sit back and enjoy the match, and I'll see you when it's over. And then this. So, like I said, this is going to be an 8-ball match, and you can see I have a cue ball diagram up here, and I can move that red dot around. So, but like I said, it's just a lot more interaction. So I can tell you that I'm putting above center, below center, to the left of center, to the right of center, and everywhere in between. But, at least with 8-ball, it should be easier for me to indicate where I'm hitting on the cue ball because I don't have to update scores until the rack is over. The only thing I have to try to keep updated in real time is going to be the inning count. And so what we can see here is that my opponent is going to break in this one here. So, like I said, he is a skill level 6, and I'm a skill level 7, so this is going to be a race to 5-4. So, let's see how the first rack goes. So you can see it looks like he went for an 8-ball break. He struck the ball that was in the second row. He had some bottom spin on the cue ball, so that would basically look like this. Because I didn't see any side spin because the cue ball basically goes over to the side rail and then just comes straight back and then parks itself right here. Now I'm at the table, and I'm going to play the 3-ball, and it looks like, what, I automatically have to have top spin on the cue ball because I'm so close to the rail, so I think I just play that in so that way I can have position on the 2-ball. Now, immediately, y'all should see that I have the 4-ball that I have to deal with, but now I'm not shooting the 2-ball. Looks like I'm shooting the 5. What am I doing here? Is this just a stop shot? That's going to be something like this. No, I did allow the cue ball to go forward, so that looks like this. So this is the hard part about trying to update the cue ball in real time, right? But I'll go ahead and try to do it for this match here. So there we can see that it looks like I've got some bottom spin on the cue ball. And that means I got position for the 1. When am I going to break out the 4-ball? That's what y'all should be asking yourself, because the 4-ball is pretty much in trouble. I don't remember if the 4-ball goes in between the 12 and the 14. You can see I think I'm looking at it right here to try to figure it out. Let's see. What am I going to do here? That looks like I have, looks like maybe some top left. Yeah. So that was a little bit, just a little bit of a rolling cue ball with some left spin. I think I was trying to get position on the 4. So if I'm trying to get position on the 4, that must mean that the 4-ball goes. I think what? Do I just roll the ball in with some topspin? I do. Got a little bump on that. I think that's my opponent's 14 ball. So I obviously can't make the 7, so here I'm about to try to bank the 7 into the cross corner pocket. What is that? Looks like I'm going to be trying to draw the cue ball for position. I might have, I think this is left spin on the cue ball. I think I'm going to come underneath all those clutters. Never mind. That was right spin. And now we can say APA as I 2-rail bank the 7-ball into the other corner pocket. And on top of that, getting position for the 2-ball. That's ridiculous. So what is this here? Looks like I've got a little bit of left spin on the cue ball to come out for the 8-ball to go into the side pocket. And because of that lucky 2-rail bank shot on the 7-ball, I managed to run the table here because I'm going to be shooting the 8-ball into the side pocket. So that would be nothing but top spin right there. Yeah, because typically when I know that I'm not going to hit the rails, I generally won't use any side spin unless I want to try to gear the object ball into the pocket. But so far, no inning because my opponent broke, and then when I got to the table, I managed to run the table. So let's get ready for the next rack. All right. So during this session here, I'm still doing what I like to call my classic break. So I'm trying to make either the balls that are in the second row or the corner balls to go 4 rails. You can see even the one ball sometimes will track its way over towards the side pocket, but I end up breaking dry. And when I do that, I actually didn't hit this correctly because you can see my cue ball's off to one side. Generally, I try to hit this with like just a touch of bottom left spin because I'm supposed to slightly cut the one ball on the left between the two centers of the cue ball and the one ball, so that way I can pull the cue ball to the left side rail and draw and spin it back to the middle of the table. That's what helps throw the one ball hopefully towards the side pocket. The corner balls will go 4 rails and head towards their corner pockets, and then possibly make one of the second balls into the side pocket. I'm trying to basically go for 5 balls on the break, which is pretty much a 33% chance of making a ball. All right, so what did I miss so far during that explanation? It looks like my opponent is stripes. Everything looks kind of okay, except I think he's in trouble here. I'm not sure what my opponent can do in this spot here. Looks like he might be going for the 11. I don't know if he can see enough of it. He can. That was actually a really good shot to get position on the 13 ball. Maybe try to follow it up to get position on the 10. So that would take some topspin. Uh-oh. Definitely didn't want that to happen, though, because this is definitely the position that you do not want to be in. Right? You put yourself, actually, I'm going to stop the video here. You put yourself in a, this is a common strategy that I teach all of my players. Low skill level, high skill level, it does not matter. And the principle is this. You know, there's confidence to being able to run the table, right? If you have the confidence to run the table, go ahead and try to run the table. I'm not going to try to stop you. But if you can honestly say to yourself, yeah, there's no way I can run this table. Like you can't even come up with a roadmap of how to break out clutters or, you know, how you're going to play position from one ball to the next, then sometimes you really shouldn't even be making balls off the table, because now you're making it easier for me to run the table because I have less obstacles to deal with on the table. All right, so clearly my opponent didn't want to hook themselves. It looks like he had a plan to play his 13 ball and try to push the cue ball above to get position on the 10 to go into the side pocket, but he failed to do so. But even if he would have made it, what would he have done with the 12 ball being guarded by my 2 ball and by the 8 ball? Right? So instead of having 2 balls left on the table, he might have 1 ball left on the table, which again, if he doesn't run out, then I'm pretty much a steal to win the game, because even if I know I can't run the table, I'm going to make a ball or two and then play safe, and then hopefully get ball in hand, and then I'm going to win the table. So you have to just be honest with yourself and just say, like, yeah, I can't run this table. So maybe play 1 or 2 balls, and then if you see like where there's trouble spots, figure out, you know, obviously try to figure out a way to maybe like gradually open up a clutter, because you don't want to separate it unless of course you can figure out how to play safe, or send one of your balls that is out in the open to a pocket. Block the pocket so that way you can use that ball as a breaking ball to where it's easier to make that ball, and then try to move the cue ball around to try to break up a clutter. Because you want to try to leave obstacles for your opponent to run into, which makes them harder for them to be able to clear the table. Because at this point here, if I run this table, my opponent just gave me this rack. When if he would have chosen at a different spot to maybe just push a ball towards a pocket and block the pocket, and then just give me the table and just hope that I don't run the table. Because if I run the table at this point here, the game is like it's given to me. Versus if my opponent at least tried to do something to make it harder for me, I have to earn it. Right now, clearly I have to earn it here because even though I've got ball in hand, I've got 7 balls or 8 balls that I have to run on the table, so I still have to earn it. But it's a lot easier for me to earn it with cue ball in hand because my opponent fouls. Versus again, if there were more of my opponent's stripes on the table, it would be harder for me to try to run the table. So I hope that explanation makes sense as far as dealing with strategies on how to try to win. You don't always have to try to just run the entire table and then like, oh, look, I got down to 1 ball. And then you say to yourself, but I lost. Like, so really, who cares that you got down to 1 ball if you lost? because all that really matters in 8-ball is winning the 8-ball. All right, so cue ball in hand. Looks like I'm going to start with the 4-ball and just stop the cue ball for either the 5 or the 2 or the 6 or the 3. Like, I'm in the middle of the table. I can shoot whatever I want. But I'm willing to bet my 2-ball is going to be the last ball that I use for the 8-ball, unless I just royally screw something up. So here it looks like I'm going to push the cue ball over to the side rail and have it come out for position on the 6 or the 3. So that's pretty much a center cue ball hit. And so I'm willing to bet. Do I play the 3? See, right there. Yeah, so I look to see that the 6-ball can go into the side pocket. So I'm willing to bet that I'm going to play a rolling cue ball on the 3 so that I can get position on the 1. Play the 1 into the bottom right corner pocket. And then play the 6 in the side. End with the 2 in the upper left. And then play the 8 in the upper right. Here's with a little bit of draw. So I don't really want to be hovered over the 6-ball, but it was a straight in shot, so it was okay. So here's the same thing, pretty much a stop shot on the 2. I want to make sure that I kind of pull the cue ball back a little bit, kind of like this, because now I think at least I try to just gently roll it in, because I think I am straight. So what I have to try to remember here, because there I'm looking to see if I can get on the other side of the 12. I think I'm going to try to run into the 8-ball. Is that what I do? No. I ended up cheating the pocket, and so that way I can just shoot the ball straight in and then have the 8-ball go into the upper right corner pocket. Now, like I said, it's not a guarantee that I'm not going to run the table if my opponent would have left a couple more balls on the table. But I think it's fair to say that if there were more balls on the table left by my opponent, it would have been harder for me to run the table because I have more obstacles that I have to maneuver around. And that's basically the strategy that I'm going off of. And it's like, if you know that you're going to give the opponent to the or give the table to your opponent because you just can't figure out how to run the rack, then make sure that when you give the table to your opponent, you're making them earn the victory. And not just like run, and then all of a sudden make a mistake. Nice popping cue ball there. Look at that. Almost made the 8 in the side. Look at that. I think I saw what? I think I saw a stripe go in. I think I'm stripes on this one. Let's see here. Am I on 2 innings, by the way? Because what? I won the first rack. Like I said, this is the hard part of keeping up with all this stuff. So what everybody should know by now is that right after the break, I don't just get down and start shooting. Like I study the entire rack and try to figure out how I'm going to run the table because I always like to break and run the table if I have the opportunity to do so. I mean, I want my patches. So my ultimate goal here is to try to figure out how to break out the 8-ball here. But clearly on that first shot there, I just don't want to be bridged over the ball, but I'm okay here. So now, what do I do here? Do I play the 13? Looks like I'm playing the 13 with topspin. Yeah, and I'm trying to. I tried to open the 8-ball up, and I did manage to open the 8-ball up, but I also managed to make it too, which would have sucked. So let's see here. What do I do here? Clearly, I'm going for the 11-ball, but I got to figure out what am I doing next. I think I'm trying to figure out how to get position on the 12-ball. And I think for the 14-ball, I think I was wanting to try to play the 14-ball into the side pocket. Let's see here. Okay, that looks like a little bit of an above center hit. Oh, that was right spin. So 3 rails around. Yeah, I was trying to get position for the 12 to go into the same pocket, but I didn't make it. So now, think about it. If I would have been honest with myself and realized how difficult this table is, I wouldn't have ran as many balls as I did, right? So now, if my opponent gets a chance to come back to this table, I'm now in the position that my opponent was in. You can see here, I'm going to try to one rail kick the 12. I got to be careful though, but I end up fouling. So think about it. This is the same exact position my opponent was in. Right? He runs the table and fails to run the table. And then I pretty much did the same thing. I ran the table, failed to run the table, and then give my opponent ball in hand. Yeah, Dusty, that's pretty much what I always try to say to them is when I say, what are you exactly trying to do? And if their answer is, I'm just trying to make balls, I was like, well, we got to go beyond that. Like you got to know that you're gonna make the ball. You got to know where the cue ball is gonna go up. You got to know what ball you're gonna play next. Like you got to know like what your route is going to be, so that way you can run the table. Hey, I got some Texans in here. I see Brian from Corner 4 Billiards and Robin Barnes. Roger Random's also from Texas. All right, so my opponent has cue ball in hand here, right? So just like in the last rack here, as long as there's no cue ball execution errors, like I should be losing this rack. So the question is always going to be is that, what patterns do everybody play when they have ball in hand, right? Because it's not like there's a wrong pattern, but there's an optimal pattern, right? And by optimal, I mean that you shoot all the balls in such a way to where there's no effort to run the table. Now, I don't remember exactly the pattern that he played here, but it looks like it's going to be pretty good. He just plays the 2 ball into the corner pocket and has a straight in shot for the 8 ball. But I would have to go back and look. Matter of fact, we can do that. Right? He's going to make this ball, so that puts him up 1. So he just called the ball. You saw that I was marking it earlier, but then I just went ahead and let him call it. So actually, let's do that. Let's go back to where my opponent had ball in hand. So here we go. So he decided to shoot the 3 ball first, and then what? Then he went to the 4. So Ruben, you're saying that you would have done 4, 6, 2, 1, 3, 8. So you're saying that the 4 ball is going to go into the lower left corner pocket here, which means you probably let your cue ball roll over here. So that way you can play the 6 ball into the side pocket. You forgot the 5 ball in your run out pattern though, Ruben. Because here you let the cue ball roll forward, play position on the 2, like this, and then probably have the cue ball just come off the rail like this. Because here is where you want that angle, so that way you can shoot the 1 ball here into the corner pocket and have the cue ball just roll off like this. But the fact that the 5 ball was left out of your run out pattern doesn't matter, right? Because you can shoot this ball in, draw back, and get position on the 5 and just play a stop shot, and then you have the 8 still going to the corner. So that's Ruben's run out pattern. And it's a run out pattern that works, so long as you don't have any execution errors, right? But what other patterns that are out here that are just like, that would appear to be effortless? I do like starting with the 4 ball, but I also like starting with the 3 ball like my opponent did. Let's see here. I'm trying to think what I would have done. Because again, it's not like there's a wrong way to do this. It's just like there's finding that optimal pattern where the likelihood of you messing up is just like really, really small. What other patterns does everybody see that my opponent could have done? Because really, Ruben, we can still do your pattern if we just start with the 3 like my opponent did, and then shoot the 4, and then shoot the 6, 2, 1, 5, 8. Like that's pretty much the same thing. But he didn't do that. What did he do? So he comes up and shoots the 3 ball. Then he shoots the 4 ball. Then he shoots the 6 ball, and then it's 1, 5, 1, 5, 2, 8. Ending with the 8 ball. Because even ending with the 1 ball would have been fine. Like ending with the 1 or the 2 would have been fine because you're just automatically guaranteed position on the 8 ball. When we go back to here, though, like the 4 ball definitely has to go, as far as I'm concerned. So Robin Barnes, you're saying 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. So how does that look? So you play the 3 ball into the corner pocket. Just replace the ball here. How are we getting position on the 5? Are we drawing back? Are we going to the side rail and coming out like this? So that way we can play the 5 like this. And then what? You said 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 6, 1, 2, 8. So that means we have to draw back, and we probably want to have an angle to where we play the 6 like this. I'm guessing. Is this pretty much the way that you would think about playing this pattern, Robin? Lots of lines on the table. Let's see. Eric Pool Guy Simpson, you're saying 3, 4, 6, 2, 1, 5, 8. I don't see an issue with that pattern either, because that's like you can see like everybody has like their own little flavor, right? 4, but now we have to roll this way to get position on the 6, roll forward to get position on the 2, come down to get position on the 1, and then roll up to the middle of the table to get position on the 5, and just pretty much just stop the cue ball here, so that way we can play the 8 into the side pocket, right? Is that pretty much what you had in mind, Eric? Like I said, no answers are wrong, but like which ones would we all agree was like the easiest way to do it? Because, and by easiest would mean minimal amount of control on the cue ball, right? To where you can literally just like almost tap every ball in. But like I said, I don't consider any of these to be wrong patterns. There we go. Oh, I went too far. So now my opponent gets to break. So 2-1. So I don't get a 3-0 knight. Tries to go for an 8-ball break. Ends up scratching in the corner pocket. Looks like he made both solids and stripes. But I've got cue ball in hand behind the head string. In APA, if you scratch on the break, you don't have cue ball in hand on the, anywhere on the table. It's always behind the head string. Any subsequent fouls after the break is cue ball in hand anywhere. So let's see here. So you can see, like, look how far ahead I'm trying to study the table to figure out what I'm going to start with. Because I think there I was looking at the 4 ball, so I must be thinking about trying to choose solids on this one. Do I change my mind and take stripes? Nope, looks like I'm taking solids. So there, I think I'm looking to see, like, can I get an angle on the 4 ball? Because I think that's the 4 ball that's behind the 10 ball to where I won't foul. I won't hit the 10 ball. I can still play the 4 into the corner pocket. And then I check to see if that 1 ball that's in between the 15 and the 8 can go into the side pocket. So it looks like I'm going to take solids here. Playing the 2 ball into the corner pocket, I'm probably going to stop the cue ball for position on the 7. So I do have some draw on this, just like that. So I have to believe that I'm going to try to get position on the 4 here, which is... Oh, never mind. I got position on the 1. So forget about playing the 1 in the side. I can play the 1 now. That looks like a rolling cue ball, so that was just a center ball hit. And then I have that position. I think I have that position on the 4. That looks like I have some bottom spin here. Let's see if I hit any rails. Yeah, just straight bottom spin. No action on the cue ball. That's why you see me just like throw my hand up there. But I at least can see the 7. All right, so I can cut the 7 into the lower left corner pocket. What do I do here? Do I just play this with a rolling ball? And it looks like I have some left spin as well, because I'm going to hit the side rail. Come back out. Do I get position on the 3? I do get position, or not the 3, the 6. And then I think right there, when I step off to the side, I look to see, like, if I make that 6 ball, does the 3 ball now have a path? Because if it does, then I have an idea of where I need to try to land to get position on the 3. And I think there I'm looking to see if I can play the 3 into the upper left corner pocket, because this is what helps me figure out, like, how I'm going to hit this ball. And looking at the cue ball, that looks like I have bottom left. I think I'm going to try to avoid hitting the 12 ball. I still want to catch the short rail. Kind of like that. Do I spin it around? I don't know if I did. But again, y'all know I'm not afraid to cut a ball. I think I do this with a little bit of inside spin. There we go. Why couldn't I run into that 11 ball and the cue ball just stop? Because then I got a straight shot for the 8 ball in the upper left corner pocket. But you can see there, I'm going to cut this one too. So look how thin of a cut. Like, we could see the angle here, right? Look how thin of a cut shot this is. Now, I'm not afraid of scratching because the 9 ball is sitting there. It looks like I'm hitting this with draw. And look at that. I overcut that ball. How do you overcut a shot like that? Like, seriously, how do you overcut a shot like that? I mean, let's look at it again. Look how far I overcut that ball. I make my opponent's 9 ball. I mean, I hit the side rail. I mean, if anything, I would expect to maybe hit the short rail, not cut it so much that I hit the side rail. Let alone, I'm obviously expecting to make it. All right, so at least fortunately, I didn't leave my opponent much on the table to deal with. But, like I said, this puts my opponent in a position where they should have full control of the table. So, like, the first thing I'm thinking about that my opponent should be doing here, he shouldn't even be contemplating on making a shot. If anything, just shoot right into these 2 stripes with a little bit of bottom spin. But he ends up making a ball. So that's good for him. I'm thinking safe. Like, all I want to do is just keep the cue ball like somewhere right around here to where I don't have a shot at the 8 ball. But this actually looks good for my opponent. He made that combination. That was a good shot. Nice rolling ball there. I think that's the 11 ball to go into the side pocket. You let that one roll a little too far. So actually, in cases like that, I would sit there and say that you didn't hit it hard enough. Like, you got to make sure that that cue ball comes off of the rail, so that way you're not back cutting the ball like you did here, and then now you're left with this bank shot on the 8 ball. That's unfortunate. You can see he's going to play the bank. Uh-oh. Oh my Oh my goodness. It's bad enough that he banks it 2 rails, going into the wrong pocket, but then also scratching on top of that. That is brutal. So, I mean, if anything, so my opponent starts that rack by making that combination. So really, I would have to say that his only mistake, actually, you know what? We're going to go back and talk about it. His only mistake in that rack was this shot right here. Like, after he makes the combo and comes to this shot, this is where he makes the mistake. Because let's look how he plays the ball. You can see that he's got topspin on the cue ball. So he rolls the cue ball forward. But then look where it ends up after that. Right? He's forced to play this cut shot. Now, what does he try to do here, though? If we watch how he does the cue ball here, yeah, that had to have been done with bottom left. Right? So we look at this shot again. He's playing this shot like this. Is it? Yeah, bottom left. Because I'm guessing he's hoping this happens. Right? Like that's, or maybe he can, draw back like this. Like, he's obviously wanting somewhere to get to get position on the 8 ball like that, right? But with this type of cut angle, like I said, after going to Demetrius's boot camp, this is just not the shot that I would recommend, right? What I would recommend is, instead of left spin, is right spin on the cue ball. Let's see. Is this going to be enough with a stun, right? I would think. If we put right spin on this cue ball here, right, this is what happens, or this is what I would expect to happen. Cue ball would come over here, and then the right spin would just fling it like this. And just like I had said on the 9 ball rack, the moment I start heading in this direction, and if I hit this rail, I'm guaranteed a shot. Right? This is pretty much how I would have played this particular shot if I'm forced to play this shot here. Unless, of course, if I was physically at the table and I could see that I can actually, and I have the skill set to actually power draw it over to this area here and get the same position, then more than likely I'm probably going to do that as well. But like I said, in my opinion, this is not the mistake. I've said this before on previous videos that sometimes the mistake that you make is not on the shot that you missed. And he didn't miss this shot. He just got poor position on the 8-ball after this shot. His mistake is actually how he addresses this ball here. If anything, there's nothing wrong with playing the cue ball to the rail like he did. He just should have made sure that the cue ball got out here like this. So that way he can shoot the 14 ball into the corner pocket and then with bottom right spin, have the cue ball come to the side rail and then spin back pretty much where he's at so that way he can shoot the 8-ball into the corner pocket like this. This is what I would have said on how to get the match from here. Clearly, he could have still won the match had he banked the 8-ball. Clearly, he could have won the match had he got better position from the 14 to the 18 ball. But I think this is where I would suggest that the ultimate change needed to be, and that's playing position from his 15. I think is that the 15 ball, or I think that's the 15 ball, from the 15 to the 14. If he would have just fixed the position from the 15 to the 14, then the position from the 14 to the 8 would have just been easier, and he would have been able to win the rack. Let's get ready for the next rack here. Whoops, there we go. Oh, totally hit the cue ball on the right side of the 1 ball as it hopped into the air and almost flew off the table. But I ended up breaking dry. I think that's inning 4. Let's see here. Solids is looking really good from this position. You can see my opponent's going to shoot the 2 ball first. Probably just going to stop the cue ball. Nope, he let it roll forward, so that was just a rolling cue ball hit. Looks like he's got position on the 1. He cuts the 1 in, probably with a little bit of stun so he can hit the 5. He doesn't hit the 5. He rolls past it. I think I would have bumped into the 5 ball. Push the 5 ball closer towards the bottom left corner pocket, so that way you're either going to get a shot on the 7 ball, the 3 ball, or the 5 ball. Because here it looks like he lost his shot. I can't tell what he has here. Does the 5 go past the 14 into the side? It does, so never mind. Does that give him position on the 6? That was pretty much done with the rolling cue ball. He's got position on the 7. And then what do you play for after that? Overcuts the 7, and it looks like he was trying to get position for either the 4 or the 6. So now immediately my attention is drawn here, right? I got to be able to break out my 11, and I think that's my 13. Do I try to do it right now? I think I do. Nope, never mind. Oh, I think what I wanted to do was to get position. Actually, I think this is my 11 ball right here. That must be my 15. I think I was trying to get position on one of them to go into this side pocket here, and I overdid it. Let's see. So that looks like I'm playing the 11 in the side. I'm just going to be rolling the cue ball forward with some topspin. Oh, no, there, look at that. I'm going for the breakout. That means I had a little bit of left spin going right there. Ended up bobbling the ball. So let's see here. My opponent's got a free shot at the 6 ball. Oh, but he overcuts it. Looks like he was trying to get position for the 4 ball next. Let's see. What do I got? Can I see the 12? Looks like I can. I'm going to go for it. So what do I got there? That looks like maybe a little bit of bottom spin. Just try to stop the cue ball maybe? Or do I let it roll forward? What the heck did I just do there? I have no idea what I was trying to do there. Other than maybe a stun run through because of how hard that I hit it. What was I trying to do? That had to have been. Okay, so I think what I was trying to do, what's called a stun run-through shot. So because of the distance that's on the balls here, I think the amount of bottom spin is like really, really small. Like here's absolute center, and I think I'm putting like just a little bit below center because of the distance between the cue ball and the 12 ball. And the intention was to force this ball in, and what's supposed to happen is by the time the cue ball gets here, it's picked up like one or two small revolutions of forward spin. So that way the cue ball just kind of just dribbles forward and gives me position on the 11 ball. I'm betting that's probably what I was trying to do here. Of course, I could have tried to finesse it by putting topspin and just hitting it softer. But then one of the tools that I've been trying to add to my toolbox is utilizing the stun run through, which is being able to hit the cue ball firm and then just have it just dribble forward after that. So I'm pretty sure that's what I was trying to do on this shot here. Hey, Roger, have a good night, man. Thanks for stopping by. Almost got lucky and made the 12 into the opposite corner pocket. But now let's see here. What does my opponent have? Can't shoot the 7. Looks like he can see the 6. I don't think the 3 ball blocks the 6 ball. What do you do here? He pretty much has an open table. The only issue that you have here, a nice rail shot first. The only issue you really have here is what is your key ball to get on the 8. So he comes down for position on the 3, just shoots it a little too straight. Okay, top spin on this one here because I'm so close to the rail. I just now noticed that we're not wearing masks in this one, so this must have been when the mask mandates were lifted. Let's see here. What did I just glance at? Am I going to try to cut that 11 ball? I think so. What do I do at the cue ball? I got to make sure that I don't scratch, so I probably have just a touch of left spin so I can pull it over to the side rail like that. But I grazed the 7 ball. But now I own that pocket. Right, so I'm in a favorable position, and this goes back again to where it's like, I've got all my balls on the table, while my opponent still has what I think that's his 3 ball. So he's got 3 balls and I've got 5. So like technically I have the advantage here. Let's see, what do you do here? Probably just gonna try to do a safety. I feel like that might have been a double hit, but I wasn't there to watch it, and I didn't call someone to watch it. All right, let's see here. What do I do? Now, for me, I have to think about the 8 ball, right? Because all my balls are out in the open if I'm going to try to attack the table here. A little bit of elevation. I'm probably going to run into the 3 ball, and I haven't missed the 9 ball. And actually, I remember because like if I was going to try to do this video here as a post-production video, this is actually I think this is actually the rack. This rack here is the most I've ever missed on missed basically. Like I've had high inning matches before because of playing safeties, but not because of misses. And if I remember correctly, I think this rack here is the one that I've missed the most. Oh, that was unfortunate. My opponent tries to play a defensive shot but ends up scratching. So now, as long as I get that 8 ball out in the open, then I can pretty much try to run the table from here. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be the first thing that I try to do. So it looks like I'm going to play the 15 ball and just have my cue ball billiard into the 8, 4, and 3. I just got to make sure that I don't billiard into the 8 and make it into the side pocket. Jay Doozy, how's it going, man? Thanks for stopping by the live stream. Andrew, you feeling all right there, bud? You're coming in here with a lot of negativity. Just sit back and enjoy yourself, or just go on and watch something else. So you can see there instead when I played the 13 ball, I at least got the 8 ball now, but now it looks like my 15 ball might be stuck. So I actually don't remember how I addressed the rest of this table. I have a shot right there at the 11 ball, so I'm pretty sure that's where I'm going. Looks like I have a little bit of topspin on the cue ball. Just gently roll the ball down there. Looks like I'm going to come back up for position on the 9. I think with this one here, I have to be putting some left spin on the cue ball. I'm going to try to zigzag the cue ball 2 or 3 rails to get position on this ball down here. Pretty much like that. And then now, how do I get position back on my 15 ball? Okay, I mean, you don't have to be an APA pool player to come in here to come into a live stream with negativity. Just enjoy yourself. Near Sharoni, you think the 15 goes to the top right? I just have to play precise position. As you can see, like I want the cue ball to go right here. So do I try to? I think I try to play this off the short rail with some right spin and try to just spin it over by the 8 ball, just like this. But end up moving the cue ball too much. Oh dear lord, is that what I tried to do? I think I'm going to try to carom the 15 off of the 4 into the side pocket. The 15 ball doesn't even move. But I do end up with a little bit of a safety. So I think he has a 3-4 combination here. Yeah, there we go. And then he can just roll this ball in for position on the 7. So this should look good for my opponent here. You can either try to just like stun punch this off the side rail to get position on the 8. Allows the cue ball to roll. Oh, he doesn't. He ends up over. Did he overcut it or did he catch the side rail? What did he do? Oh, he overcut the ball. All right. I honestly didn't remember if I got back to the table on this one or not. So what did I do here? Did I 2-rail this? Looks like I have center right spin. I think I tried 2-railing this. Short rail and then long rail. Just like that. Did I hit it hard enough? Yeah, I probably wanted to hit that a little bit harder. I think here this is probably done with a bit of left spin just so I can keep the cue ball like right there towards the second diamond. And I make it in. So I'm on the hill. So during this session here, whenever I get on the hill, I do try to go for an 8-ball break. So I do try to hit the ball that's in the second row, and I typically try to put a little bit of, or a lot of bottom spin and a little bit of right spin, so that way I can try to pull the cue ball over to the side rail and have it spin back into the rack again. And see, that time I end up going around the rack, and the 8-ball was almost going because I was actually cheering it on, and then I saw my cue ball. I was like, wait, don't fall 8, because then I end up losing if that happens. But I'm at least guaranteed movement on the 8-ball. I've demonstrated that before in my breaking an 8-ball rack 2 ways video, where like when you hit the ball in the second row, like you're basically guaranteed that 8-ball is going to move. Now let's see. My opponent's going to have cue ball in hand behind the head string. Let's see how he decides to try to pick apart this rack. So I can at least admire here that he's looking at the rack. He's not just picking something obvious. So he's trying to come up with some sort of plan. You can see that the 2, 7, and 15 are going to be a bit of an issue. All right, so it's like both solids and stripes are neutral right now. So it's a matter of like, which set do you choose that allows you to figure out how to break out the 2, 7, and the 15, depending upon what you are. So he's solids, right? So how is he going to try to break out his 2 and 7? That should be his main priority. Because if he's just going to, knock balls in, like I said, he's making the table easier for me if he doesn't have a plan to finish the table. Right? So like right here, he has to make this 3-ball and break out his stuff at the same time. And that's what he tries to do, but he ends up scratching. So now, I have to figure out how to break out my 15-ball. That's my number one priority. So it looks like I'm going to start with the 11-ball. I'm more than willing to bet I have topspin on this because I'm going to try to break out my 15 right now. I failed to do that. Oh my goodness. Do I at least have a shot at the 9? Or do I play safe? Let's see here. What am I doing? I can't even tell what I'm doing. Okay, make the 9-ball. All right, let's look at that again. Because how did I shoot that? That had to have been with bottom left, with the way the cue ball reacted. Actually, a really good shot. So, like I said, at this point here, I had to have recognized I'm not breaking out my 15-ball. Right? So there's no reason for me to make the 14-ball, which I think I can do at this point here. And there's no reason for me to try to make my 13-ball. Because what am I going to do with the 15? So I'm pretty sure at this point here, I play a defensive shot. I think I just bumped the cue ball into the 15 because the 15 is not touching the rail. And I tried to scoot the 7-ball away from the 15-ball. Pretty much like that, but clearly I would wanted the 7-ball to move further than that. But if I get ball in hand, then I can try to figure out more stuff to do. So this is at least me implementing my own strategy that I talked about in rack 1. I don't see an opportunity for me to try to run the table without making like some sort of hero shot, so therefore I don't try to. So there, my opponent makes a good hit. All I can do is shoot my 13 ball. I think I do try to bank this in. Yeah, so I'm about to try to bank this in. Dusty Tables, man, thanks for stopping by the stream. I really do appreciate it. You have yourself a good night. Let's see, what am I doing here? Is this going to be with top right spin, I think? Yeah, I do try to bank it. You can see the position that I'm trying to put myself into, where I'm pretty much going to do the same exact thing, where I just, nudge the cue ball into the 15, and then try to play safe on my opponent again. So this is basically the same thing, right? Like my opponent should not be trying to make any of his balls unless he has a plan to break out his 7, right? But he makes the 5, okay. He's got position on the 2. What is he going to do with the 7? He purposely misses the 2 ball. That is a smart thing to do. And I think I try to break this out. Lots of left spin on the cue ball. Watch the cue ball. Look how much spin I had on that ball. And then I end up scratching too. So, what do y'all do here? If cue ball in hand, one of your balls is in trouble, what should you do? Immediately, I'm thinking safe, right? We pretty much put the cue ball like right here, shoot into the 7, make sure you push the 15 past the side pocket, bury it next to my 14 ball, and then leave the cue ball like right here, right? Robin, you're saying you would bank the 7 ball? Oh my goodness. You're supposed to play safe. So it looks like we got a timeout here. So I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that the person that called the timeout here was pretty much letting him know like he should just go ahead and play safe. There's no reason to make to make the 2 ball and then try to play safe on the 7 ball. You should go ahead and try to play safe on the 7 ball now. Because that would be like, can I make the 2 ball and break out the 7 at the same time? I mean, if you feel confident that you can do something like that, then sure, by all means do that. Yeah, see right there, that's where he wants him to play the safe. Give yourself a little angle, but you can see here, my opponent wants to play this sharp angle, right? So this right here is a mistake. See, he plays the safe, but he lets the ball out because it's too much of an angle, right? If anything, he should have gone with what the coach was saying, which is to place the cue ball right there and do the same exact thing. Cut the 7 so that you hit the 7 first, and the cue ball immediately hits the rail. And like I said, the objective would be to push the 15 ball past the side pocket and have it just sit right here. And then the cue ball would be sitting right behind the 7 ball, pretty much to where I have to play like some sort of 2-rail kick shot. But I think with the shot that my opponent did there, he opened up my 15 ball and basically left me the run out. Yeah, the 15 ball just walks right out into the side pocket there, so I can just tap that ball in and then play the 14 ball into the lower left corner pocket and have position on the 8. So it looks like I have a stop shot or a little bit of a draw shot. And this is pretty much just going to be the same thing. I drew it back anyway. And then I'm just going to roll this ball in. There. And I was able to take that one down 5-1. And that'll wrap things up for today's video. I think the biggest takeaway everybody should be able to get from this match here is knowing whether or not you have the capabilities at being able to run the table, otherwise coming up with the best strategy to be able to deal with the table. Because you saw cases where both myself and my opponent tried to run the table, but when we failed to do so, we were punished for it and we lost the rack. And you also saw cases where we knew we weren't going to run the table. So we might have made a ball here and there, and then we picked a spot to be able to play some sort of a defensive shot until we were ready to try to attack the table again. I can't stress anymore how important it is to have some sort of plan anytime that you're at the table, because sometimes the smarter player can actually defeat the better player. So I hope everybody was able to enjoy and learn from this matchup here. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and be sure to click the bell notification icon to be notified whenever I go live or publish a new video. Take care, everybody.